So in the last video, we decided on our general plan for the next videos. Let's start with creating our components or the components we identified thus far. For that, I'll create a components folder. And of course, you could also create a different folder structure where you structure by feature, for example. But I'll stick to this since this looks about right for the size of this application. So here in this components folder, we'll certainly want a home.view file for this homepage we're landing on. We want a header.view file, let's say, and then I'll create two subfolders in there. The first one I'll name portfolio, and the second folder I'll name stocks. So for these two main features we have in our app. In the portfolio folder here, I want to create my portfolio.view file, so this main page. And I'll also create a stock.view file for the individual stock on this portfolio page. Now in the stocks file folder here, I'll create a stocks.view file and I'll create a stock.view file here too. Now the two stock files here will have some shared code. So you could also create one component and then simply control what should be displayed. But as it turns out, there are quite a lot of differences, even though on the first look they look very similar. So whilst you could make it work to use one single component and adjust it to the context you're loading it in, I'm going to choose the more explicit, the more specific route here of creating two different components for that. But you can, of course, and that might be an extra challenge, use one and the same component for that. Anyways, we'll come back to this. Let's continue with setting up our app here. With all these components here in place, I think a good start is before working on the individual components to simply mark them. So let's give each of them a template, and I'll only output a h1 tag where I say the home component and so on, so that when we implement routing, I can see if that works. So I'm going to copy that code from here into my header, where I of course want to say the header component. Then here we got the stocks component. Here we got the stock component, and here we got the portfolio component. Well, I didn't even need to fill the stock component because we won't see that for now, but anyways, the portfolio stock component. So now all components have a template at least. And with that, let's say, now with the components sketched out, with the main components created, even though they didn't do much right now, in the next video, let's have a look at how we could set up the routes. And that, of course, is, as always, a challenge for you. Try to come up with the possible routing setup on your own before we then set it up together in the next video.